All right, so I'm going to just welcome you. Thank you so much, Sara, for
You.
joining us today. Nikki found you and she's been following you on socials. Nikki, do you want to talk really quick about like why you decided to ask Sara to be on today?
Sure. So I've been following Sara for a couple years, and I just have always really liked her approach to marketing and real estate. And I thought it was unique, I guess you could say. It was different from what everybody else was doing. So, and that's kind of what we strive for, is to provide different outlooks, different opportunities for agents. And so I just thought she'd be a great fit.
I love it. Well, and she's out here traveling the country in a RV now and with kids and life and real estate. I don't know how you're going to handle it. So I just followed you now. I hadn't followed you before, so I'm going to follow you now so I can follow along on this little journey of yours.
Yay, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I
So
appreciate you following along all these years.
yeah, Nikki was like, "Hey, I have somebody great. She's going to be awesome." I'm like, "Well, yay, bring her on. Let's go."
I've been following her for years too. Like I had said, my husband's company was in Carlsbad area. And I remember like seeing it, the company now is not there, but like I remember seeing your stuff like earlier on a couple of years ago, and always been like always admiring your marketing and your reach and doing all that. So, yeah.
Appreciate that.
Love it.
This is fun.
All right. Well, Sara, do you want to give us a quick intro, or do you want to start sharing? Because I know you said you have an intro in that.
Yeah, let me just share the screen and we'll just kind of go through all together. Obviously, if at any point in time you guys have questions, just let me know.
Sure.
Oh, let me get you off this. Where's my prezo?
Don't you love that? See, that's what I'm talking about, Sara. Like,
yep, always something. And then I never know where to put like the Zoom bubbles, and they're always in the way no matter where I put them.
I always resort to like the one little picture, and it always ends up being somebody who's not paying attention.
I feel like that's distracting too. Okay, so when Nikki reached out to me, I was like, I'm all about customizing this. I don't want to just like lecture on a bunch of boring shit. I really want to make this an experience for you guys and what you actually want to learn about. What she mentioned to me was that you were interested in learning how to actually work on conversion specifically and attraction marketing. That's something that we've been really good at on social media. I'll go into our bio a little bit and kind of explain what's been working for us. We'll do the bio first. And of course, there's pictures here, but of course, they're not going to load now that we're here. But all it is a picture of my face, which you're looking at here anyway. So use your imagination and fill in the dots. So we grew to 25,000 organic followers, never paid for any of that garbage. We grew pretty fast. We had about a 400% growth rate during that time when we were accelerating and growing to our peak. To date, what's even more important is that 80% of our closed transactions are generated through social media. So this is something we've actually done. There's a lot of gurus, hacks, tips, tricks out there. And a lot of it's BS. I'll be honest with you. We are a team that's actually built our business on social media, truly because we were just broke young kids when we got into the business and didn't have any money to throw at leads. So it kind of forced our way into social media before it became what it is now. We've been featured a number of different times in the California Association of Realtors, San Diego Real Producers, Property Spark, all specifically for our social media presence. And what's even more, I think, cool about this, of course, social media has opened up a ton of doors in terms of our real estate business, but truly on the outside of the real estate space, I think is what's even cooler about it. Last summer, my family was approached to do an Honest brand commercial, which is Jessica Alba's company for clean baby products. And our daughter ended up on the cover of the website. Like we got to film a whole commercial when my son was a newborn. It was just like such a cool experience that has absolutely nothing to do with real estate. We've done a number of different interviews for Shondaland, which is the people that do Grey's Anatomy. I don't watch that religiously. How to Get Away with Murder, all those different programs, basically. Again, nothing to do with real estate. We've been in Parents Magazine, Business Insider. And the beauty of like really everything on this page and why I bring this to your attention is because we didn't have to go looking for any of those opportunities. They literally knocked on our front door by just being this small 2-person married team here in San Diego. Really have no business being in any of those places, but the cool thing is that we had the opportunity to do that. So all of that through attraction marketing. I'm going to show you a little bit about how we've done that specifically. Like I said, if at any point in time someone has questions, I can't see all of you, but someone let me know there's a question and I'm happy to pause and get into that. I can't in good conscience go through like how to make content properly without taking a second to talk about profile optimization. This is easily, I think, one of the most skipped steps in our industry, specifically, probably in everyone's industry. The simple fact is, though, that there's 95 million posts made every single day, which is absolutely absurd. It has never been harder to stand out. It has never been harder to capture attention than it is right now. So when you are crafting your bio, it's super important that you're very clear about who you are, who you help, what sets you apart, and also provide them clear next steps to working with you. When it comes to attracting strangers on the internet to wanting to know, like, and trust you, you have to take it a step farther beyond just saying, my name is Sara Swikard, I'm a realtor in San Diego. There needs to be more than that. When we meet people in person or in these types of circumstances, there's all these external factors that contribute to our overall first impression, where we meet them, the mood we were in when we met them. Did we meet them first thing in the morning, or did we meet them on the best night of our life? All of that changes our perception of who someone is. And the tough thing with social media is that we can't rely on all those external factors to fill in those dots. And we really have to build that into our bio ourselves. And the cool thing with that is that we have a lot of control over people's first impression that way. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So on the other side of that, 95 million posts made every single day. In contrast, there are 250 million people that land on a business page every single day. And they spend about an average of 7 minutes on that business page. So we essentially have 7-minute elevator pitch for how to completely knock their socks off, convince them that we are the right person to follow, and really make that follow button as irresistible as possible. The example I always like to give is when my daughter was like 2.5 years old. I don't know. I think this is probably every parent can relate to this. You guys let me know. She just completely stopped sleeping. Like, she just didn't do it ever again. No naps, no nighttime. Like, it was the most miserable experience of life. I'm sure you all can relate if you've been there.
Mm-hmm.
So at the point where we were like beyond zombied out, frustrated, and we went looking for a solution, we found a Instagram profile of someone that said, I help tired ass parents that are not getting any sleep get our toddler down to sleep through the night. Like, her bio was curated perfectly for me. It spoke to my specific need. So not only did I hit follow immediately, I hit DM immediately. Like, I need to hire you tomorrow, like yesterday, basically. So really what we're trying to accomplish when we're crafting our bio is that exact feeling, creating the first impression that someone goes, how did I just now find you? Oh my God, I need you in my life. Follow, DM, and now we're going to work into our nurture content, basically. So I'm going to walk you through a little bit how I recommend the strategies that I recommend employing to make your bio pop and make that follow button as irresistible as possible. The main thing is these 4 things, I guess. One of the key things is keywords. Does anyone not familiar with keywords at all? I can't see all of you. But basically the top line in your bio, the bolded line right beneath your picture that has your name on it, as a bare minimum needs to have your name, your location, and your job title as a bare minimum. I recommend putting some sort of specialization in there. So if someone says, I'm a first-time homebuyer specialist or land entitlement specialist, when that person lands there, they immediately are like, I need to work with this person. If you got brain cancer tomorrow, not to get morbid, but if you got brain cancer tomorrow, I better believe you'd be spending every last dollar trying to get to the correct specialist for the specific type of cancer that you had that spoke to your specific problem. I know in my experience, a lot of realtors are like, but I work with everybody. I'm going to make the argument that if your content is not starting conversations, if you're making content for everybody, you're probably talking to nobody. If they're not connecting, if they're not replying, if they're not engaging, it is not specific enough and does not speak to a specific person's needs. All of these platforms really are gearing towards keywords because people are using the platforms more to search for solutions. So if someone searches for a realtor in your area, you want to make sure you're at the top of that list. So as a bare minimum, include those 3 details in your top line of your bio. You have 64 characters up there. I'm telling you, I rephrase this every 2 weeks that it lets me to squeeze every last ounce out of every searchability that I possibly can to make myself stand out to who I'm trying to work with. Transformation. I think this is a big one. I think as realtors in particular, we are like notorious for being feature listers. Everyone, I would argue these days, looks for properties online. They can see right in front of them is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,200 square feet, or whatever the hell the property features are. but we insist on also reciting that back to them and listing that on screen. I really try and emphasize shifting that focus because they can see all of that information. And while it's important, a way to stand out from that is to really try and get the audience visualizing themselves in the space. We did a post every single Friday. It was called Feature Property Friday. And I would not give them any details about the property, no price, no nothing. I would just say, this is where you're going to get your bottomless mimosas. This is where you're going to go take a nap in the park right after you leave that house. This is where you're going to go walk your dog. Get them picturing themselves living in the house, actually being a part of working with you, visualizing that experience as well. We want to sell that transformation side. So not just buy with me, sell with me, but like, what is the experience like afterwards? Sell that part. I feel like that's ambiguous for in your bio specifically. So default to in your bio description. I usually default to I help insert ideal audience go from insert pain point to what is the transformational state. So I help first time home buyers go from broke ass renters to generational wealth homeowners, something that speaks to them, that shows every part of the transformation of their journey so they can see the other side, what offering you bring to the table. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yep.
With pin post, I have a bit of a strategy here. I'm going to try to remember these off cuff, but I didn't want to list them all in here. I used to be that person that like everything I know was on the slide. I'm trying to get away from that, but it's hard for me. If you're not familiar, you get to pin 6 posts to your profile. There are 3 on the main profile page and there are 3 on the Reels side. The strategy for those, if we're thinking someone spends about 7 minutes on our page, like more than likely they're not going to get through the top 6 pieces of content. So let's like knock their socks off with our 6 pieces of content to really give them a good indication of why they should follow us, like us, know us, work with us, basically. As a general rule of thumb, I recommend that one of those pin posts, probably on the profile side, because that's where they're going to see your information first. One of those should be a talking head post, and it doesn't need to be a boring talking head, but I think in our line of work specifically, it's important for people to see that we know how to articulate ourselves, that how we carry ourselves. Communication is so paramount in our job, and we know how bad it is when we work with an agent that does not have those skills. So I think bringing something to the forefront of like, hey, I know how to have a conversation. I know how to articulate myself. I know how to, communicate with people, I think speaks volumes. It doesn't matter which one of these 6 posts that you have that. I just recommend having that as a general rule of thumb. But one of these should be speak to your, like, who you are as a person, or that could be your credibility from a business standpoint. That can be your human side, whatever it is, just something that speaks to your background and your credibility. For us in particular, we are an LGBT family. For us, I choose to have something that indicates that we are a married 2-woman family, because if someone is not down for that, that is completely fine, but just go ahead and, need not apply. That's not going to be something, we're not the right fit for you kind of thing. Most of you probably won't have something like that, but I do recommend having something that speaks to who you are as a person, not just everything that you do being real estate. The second one is going to be a preview of like, what type of content can they expect from you? What are they going to see a lot of? We happen to be very data heavy. I hate being the realtor that's just like, now is a great time to buy and now is a great time to sell. So we rely a lot on data to kind of back up our arguments. Like, I took the extra step to show you, to illustrate my point, to give you the context behind what it means. So for us, this would probably be a data post, but everyone has a specific style. I recommend just giving the best preview of what they can expect from your page. The third one is we all have like a unique ability. We all have a unique ability to do something that no one else can do. Showcasing that in one of your 3 of why they should choose you over the bajillion realtors that are on Instagram. I feel like my unique ability is being able to, I've never ever thought it was an ability, but when I work with someone on the content creation side, pulling out their unique ability and breaking down their process to identify what makes them stand apart is something that I found that I'm very good at. I've never found a use for it until I got into content creation coaching. It was not very helpful in real estate. It was irrelevant. But I think point being, so often we overlook the things that we are great at because they come so naturally to us, and we forget, like after the 457th fix and flip, you forget some of the gold in your process because you could do it in your sleep. So really honing in on what specifically you do and you offer that no one else does is important to showcase here, because this is the thing that sets you apart from everybody. And there's so much competition out there. And it can be that you're weird. It can be that whatever it is, like just lean into it. The right people will find you. and attach to your story based on those weird quirks. It's kind of weird how it works. The fourth one is we want to give some sort of clear call to action to invite them into the conversation. I always say when you're working with strangers or trying to attract strangers to your page to want to work with you and not use the referral from their brothers, cousins, lovers, whatever, we need to invite them into the conversation constantly. You will find it almost to where it says it's where it feels annoying. There was a point in time where every time my sister said bye to me, she was like, slide in my DMs, like mocking me. And I was like, but guess what? Those bitches be sliding in my DMs. So it's working. Just say it again and again. And in your bio specifically, give them a start here, give them a download now, some sort of step to act as a lead capture at the peak of their interest in you, basically. When they're hitting that follow button, they are at the peak interest, offer them something of value that speaks to their specific pain points. Ideally, this would be a lead magnet of some sort to where they're inclined to put in their information, and you can actually have a lead from that point, basically. Lead magnets really could be its own entire training. One of those should be some clear steps for how they can implement some steps into their life. So one lead magnet that we have like a 3 or 4 core lead magnets. Then we kind of do minis on our stories and incorporate over and over again. One that we did, because we work a lot with first-time homebuyers, was I went in Canva. I've used the bulk create feature. I don't know if anyone's ever used this before. I created 52 pieces of content in 8 minutes. It's mind-blowing. Send me a DM that says bulk content if you want to learn how to do that. I have a free video that I can send you guys. Most mind-blowing thing ever. But basically, we always hear in our line of work that I want to buy in the next year, or I want to save money for the next year, whatever it was. So I went into Canva and I said, give me 52 different ways to save for a down payment for a first-time home buyer. It produced all of the content for me with AI. Obviously, I read through them to make sure that they were legit, and they were actually pretty good, and inserted it into the content for me. And now I have a reason to send a savings hack basically to my audience every single week for my ideal audience, and stay in front of them weekly, basically. So something like this that has clear next steps that are like, if you're this situation, here's what I have for you. If you're facing affordability, here are the actual solutions, so that they feel that you are a value-based brand and create solution-based content. And then the last one for the pin strategy is going to be your most successful content. Now, contrary to popular belief, this does not mean your highest viewed piece of content. Views are garbage. I wish they would hide them so that we all had to focus on creating content. Like, that is my dream world. It'll never freaking happen because Instagram makes their money that way. But I would absolutely love it, because everyone would have to focus on truly providing valuable content and actually using the app the way I feel like it's supposed to be or intended to be for helping their audience. I would argue that your most successful piece of content is your piece of content that started the most conversations. The whole reason I'm here really today, the whole reason this has worked for us, is our ability to start conversations and build connections without having to door knock, without having to cold call, because I don't want to do any of that bullshit. I just want to live my life and let the leads come to me. Like, sorry, that's smarter, not harder kind of thing. That's just how I feel most comfortable. I would be mortified knocking on someone's door, feared for my life. So I just basically focus on, if you had a piece of content that started a lot of conversations, I would include that there, because again, at your peak moment of interest in you, if they are like, oh my God, I just found you, I follow, whatever, if by chance we can get them to comment, now we actually are in a relationship, and now we can actually start that relationship and move forward. One thing too, I always recommend any new followers, if anyone follows us today, we are at Your SD Agents. I send a welcome video, which is a recorded video that I keep in my phone. I have a logos album basically on my phone that I keep my business card, brand colors, a couple asset photos in there. One of them is a welcome video, and it's me just coming on high energy. That's like, hey, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for following along on our journey. It's like 30 seconds. It's supposed to feel casual. It is not supposed to feel highly produced, but it basically starts the conversation with every single new follower. The only people I don't send this to are the people that give me the jeebs, that are just like, I'm not really sure what the vibe is. I trust my gut on that one. Sometimes I'm not in the mood to send them to lenders either, because I'm like, I don't want to go through the spiel. But you decide. I really just lean into my gut on when I send them. I send them to other realtors too, because our referral network that we've built through Instagram is over 400 agents that we are in touch with and that we have established. And at one point, it was 40% of our business in relocation. Nowadays, a lot less people are moving into California, but they are moving out. So I'm still getting that business and generating a network that way. Any questions on those pin posts? Feel good so far? All right, cool. In addition to that, I recommend having a good understanding of not only who your ideal audience is, but how they use the app. So a couple things here. If you are someone that's not entirely sure who your ideal audience is, and if you feel like your content is not landing, I highly recommend using ChatGPT and just asking it, give me 20 questions to help me identify who my ideal client is, because we want to have a better understanding of them beyond just first-time home buyer. We want to have an understanding of like, what TV shows are they watching at night? What are they binge watching? Like, where do they go for date night? What's the park they take their kids to? What is the thing keeping them up at night? What is the dream vacation that they're saving for? Like, we want to have a full comprehensive understanding of who they are as a person, because if we have an understanding of all of those things, we can ensure that we are always creating content that is relevant to them. If your content is falling flat, it's most likely lacking relevancy. So we need to understand beyond the buying and selling process who that person is. Have you ever had one of those experiences where you binge watch a show all weekend and then the next day on Instagram you see a piece of content that's like about that show or whatever, and you're like, send it to your best friend that you binge watch with? That is exactly how relevancy works. That is how that share button works. And by understanding who they are on a deeper level, we can ensure that we're always creating content for them. And beyond that, we can actually start to understand how they're using the app, which is how we focus on getting them to stop the scroll. So again, for example, if I want to work with first-time home buyers, it would behoove me to go check out the hashtag millennials, because that's a bulk of who that demographic is. And Instagram is going to automatically show me the top performing posts that are landing amongst millennials. This is basically like a cheat code for what's working amongst the demographic that you want to work with. So when I go to that hashtag, I notice instantly in the top post, it wouldn't take you very long to find these trends. You're probably going to recognize them as soon as I say them. There's a lot of old school hip hop, nostalgic music, or anything nostalgia from our like club hopping era. We love that shit. All up in the old songs, absolutely feeling every part of that. So that's good to know for stopping the scroll. Start with one of those songs if that's the demographic of person that you're working with. There's a lot of parenting humor. Like, I spent 487 hours setting up this beautiful train set. My daughter walked in the room and kicked it over in 3 seconds because she's an asshole. Like, some of that type of like humor that like young kids that we're all kind of going through, or maybe if your kids are older, you've been in that stage of life. There's a lot of skits where it's the same person, but it's cutting back and forth. And it shows you like it's supposed to be like a parody, kind of like a comical, different style of content. There's going to be anything, I think it's a nostalgic. That's like the bulk of it, basically. But that just gave me 4 or 5 different types of content that are landing among my demographics. So I now can incorporate that into my strategy. This is what's getting people to stop the scroll for who I want to work with. How can I use these strategies to effectively stop the scroll, insert my value proposition, and give them a quick call to action? I feel like that was a mouthful.
It's so good. It's so good though. Like, I'm writing down notes.
Okay, good.
Me too. It's really good information.
Okay, good. I feel like I can't go into content too much until I cover like these basics of like understanding what the hell we're doing here first. So that's like my spiel on just kind of getting started. I do want to kind of tap into what's working on the app to make sure we have time to go through that beyond the basics. So there was a study done by Metrical, which is like one of the most utilized. It's a free tool. There is a free option. There's a paid for one too if you feel that you're more advanced, but I encourage you all to check out the free one. It's METRICOOL. It gives you a lot of insight into the analytics. So your highest engaged posts, your growth rate, how that's working. There's a bunch of stuff in there, and it can be a little bit overwhelming if you're not familiar. They did a study of basically 30 million professional pieces of content on 9 different platforms. I just kind of took notes on each of those platforms because I wanted us to come out of here with a better understanding of like 2024, here's what I'm focusing on. So I'm going to go through a little bit about like what worked best on 2023 in each platform. And then I'm going to go into my specific 2024 content strategy if it is something that you guys think would work for you too. So just to have an overall, we tend to focus on Instagram. I recommend focusing on one if you're having trouble like lifting off, focusing on one before you focus on 16 or there's so many platforms. We use a platform called Repurpose.io, which I believe is $25 a month. Don't quote me on that. It's something like that, where when every time I push my content through IG, I publish it there. It actually pushes it out to our Facebook, to our LinkedIn, to our Pinterest all at once. Because I found that I was just incapable of going into each platform. It was just way too much of a time suck. At the end of the day, this is not our primary job. So it wasn't working the way, and that's called Repurpose.io. If you guys have any questions, you can, I think I have a referral link. I think it gets you like a free month or something. If you want to send me a DM and ask me for that, do that.
Is the thing that you talked about really quick, was it Metricool?
Yeah.
Okay. Cause I was like, I'm Googling it and I was like, is that what she said?
Yeah. That's why I was like, oh, I got to spell it, because it sounds like, what the hell is that? It's Metricool.
All right. I just put it in the chat.
So what's cool about Metricool is when you go in there, not only can you have access to, you need to be a business account or a creator account, by the way, if you're doing that, which you should be anyway, everyone should be to get analytics, is you can not only examine your own content, but you can go look at your favorite influencers or whatever, and you can look at the best of their content and see what's working for them. And again, just like we studied the hashtag, you can study their top performing posts and be like, how do I recreate something like this relevant to my audience?
That's awesome. I love that.
I think there's 5, I think you get 5 for the free one. And then if you pay for it, I think I pay, it's not bad. I think it's $120 a year. Again, don't quote me. But I get access to like 100 competitors. But
it's just so funny. Like I just texted Nikki when you said that. You ever in life, you hear something that you've never heard before and then you keep hearing about it.
Yeah.
That's how I was about Stan Store. I had never heard of it. And then I heard everybody talking about it. Metricool is the next one now. I just heard about it last week. Now you're talking about it. It's just
okay.
bizarre.
What is Stan Store?
What'd you say, Kelly?
What is Stan Store?
Oh, that's another store for another. We'll
get into that later. I'll look it up.
Angie
just said she knows several coaches that use Metricool as far as analytics. That's so cool. Anyway, I just thought that was interesting that you just talked about it and I just heard about this thing.
The universe is telling you to use it.
That's that relevancy. As soon as something happens, as soon as you're binge watch, then you see the memes all about it, and then you just, the algorithm keeps going. So with the free version, you get access to, I believe, 5 competitors, which is probably enough for what you want to do, but you can't remove anyone on the free version once you had them. So pick your 5 strategically. If you get the paid version, I think I have access to 100. I only do that because I'm monitoring the people I'm coaching, and their progress. Otherwise, don't get caught up following everybody and tracking all the, just use it as the tool as it's intended and get out of there. It can be a little bit of an overwhelm. The more you know, the more you panic. So if you're already overthinking the shit out of it, pump the brakes, get out of there, and go back to the basics. Basically what these studies found though in the last year on Instagram is that our reach is down 75% on our reels, which is a massive, massive hit in terms of the amount of people that we're reaching. But the good news is, with all the changes to the algorithm that everyone was so pissed about and felt like the algorithm hated them, is that the watch time is actually going up. So all this tells me is that there are so many freaking posts made every day, 95 million every single day. The algorithm is just trying to figure out where you fit in. So it's never been more important to be super clear with who you are. If you are spending an hour a day watching WWE wrestling and then producing first-time homebuyer content, your algorithm like, what the fuck? Who the hell are you? What are you doing? But if you spend your time networking amongst the millennial hashtag and create first-time homebuyer content, it starts to get a better understanding of what you're trying to do there, because it is tracking everything. Everything that you stop and watch for 3 seconds instead of 1 second, it notices. You double heart that cat playing with a kitten and whatever, now you're going to start, I bet you 4 slides down when you're scrolling, you're about to see a turtle playing with a rabbit. It's just how quickly the algorithm adapts.
Chickens. Yeah, I'm getting chicken.
So you watch some chicken.
My friend has a chicken coop and she's raising chickens and I'm totally want the eggs and I don't want the chickens, but the chicken, they're it's ridiculously easy how I'm just these are so cute, these chickens. I don't want to be a chicken person.
Yes. I
catch chicken coop, now I'm getting targeted.
Animal ones all the time. And I'm don't spend too much time here. I'm trying to slowly scroll so I can see it till the last second. No, I'm not pausing. Trust me. There is a way you can train your algorithm in I think it's the bottom right or the top right. You can actually, there's 3 dots basically, and you can say interested or not interested. So if you start to see a lot of chicken stuff and you don't want that, just hit that not interested. So we'll stop.
I was just laughing. I'm so funny that you're talking about this. I was just telling Donovan the other day, I somehow ended up on Russian Instagram. So now I have all these like Russian, it's all like lip injections and like facial reconstruction. I don't know how I ended up here, but I don't hate it.
Like, oh no, you're like the Russian doll models. Like the
Yes,
beautiful.
literally. It's so really nice lip injections. I mean, I'll never do that again, but you know, it's like, it's so funny that I sent it to Donovan. I'm like, I don't even know what they say, but like, this is my algorithm now.
Yeah. Well, now that you're talking about it too, all our phones are listening. So we're all going to start to get Russian lip injection content.
If you guys get it, please send me
Come
a
on.
screenshot, 'cause I
And
will die.
chickens.
I will send you and chickens. Yeah, we're really on the right path here. Oh, that's so funny. So while it sucks that our reach is down 75%, the cool thing about that is that our watch time has gone up. So the average watch time used to be 12 seconds. It's now 18 seconds. So further proof that it's just putting our content in front of the right people, which is why it's never been more important to be like deliberate with who we're speaking to, basically. So it's not all bad. Also, as soon as everyone was crying about the algorithm, I feel like they gave us access to replays as a view. So now everyone's happy again and everyone's views like doubled. Just know that like I probably have heard people talk about long form content being a trend going into 2024. And that is for this reason, because it's compartmentalizing you to the right people. People will watch longer when they're interested in what you have to say, and they convert higher when they watch longer. So just kind of aware of that trend. Reels are still the top producing, best for reach. In general, I use them for reach, and then I use a different type of content for nurture. Content strategy could have me here all day too, because I love that stuff, but just kind of giving you guys an overall the basics. Reels are still outperforming videos. They have about 2 times the amount of engagement on them. Biggest thing with Reels right now is in crafting your hooks. I would say 80% of my content creation time is focusing on how to frame that first 10 seconds. I have found with our content, if I can get them to watch for 10 seconds, that piece of content gets pushed out to like 5x amount of people. I did an experiment, I think it was in October, and I was like, I'm only going to focus on hooks for 30 days. And our reach went up. It was something like 400%. It was just about hooks, and it was just 10-second reels. I just wanted to see. I'm in the stage now where I'm just kind of experimenting with stuff to see what works so I can bring it to the people that we're coaching with. Like, hey, this every 2 seconds, I added a layer to my hook, and that 10-second hook is landing and getting pushed out. 10 seconds tends to be the sweet spot. I'm not sure if that's just a me thing, but I'm noticing that across the platform. If we can get them in for 10, it gets pushed out to a lot more people. Time text on screen is a great way to kind of layer that. Like I said, every 2 seconds, if there's another another piece. So one piece of content we did that got a good reach was like, our clients did this one thing and then 2 seconds later to beat out cash buyers, and then 2 seconds later to beat out higher offers. And it was just like a layered time text on screen. Basically, it did really well. And try and create the intrigue, basically, is what we're trying to do. Like, people are like, what the hell is the one thing? So they have to know. Content that keeps that attention. I feel like that's going to be the hook, going back to the hook. And then a lot of focus on stories. I feel like stories used to just be kind of where we like showed what we were having for lunch that day, or like where we stopped and got our coffee. There's so much more strategy to story. I'm going to tell you right now, every single person, every single one that we have ever converted on Instagram was through our DMs. They come in through Reels. That's how we bring them in, attract them to our page, curate this perfect bio where they go, oh my God, I want to follow you. But we close in our DMs. I would not be here today if I did not have a conversation with Nikki in DMs. Every single client has come that way. So having a strategy with your story is paramount. The first story I drop every single day, I'm big on polls because that gets my audience engaged. If I can do a poll and get 200 people to reply. I mean, even if you got 20, even if you got 5, if you started 5 conversations a day, every single week, 35 a week, that's over 1,600 different conversations in a year. Massive. Tell me your business won't change if you have 1,600 conversations in a year. You know what I mean? Like the impact of that. And that's 5 conversations a day. And that could just be as simple as replying to someone else's story, maybe another mom, and be like, hey, I just want to say I've been following your story and you're doing a great fucking job. Like, that would make my day. So go make someone's day, go spread some light, but definitely putting some strategy into your story. The first one of the day, I try to make a very easy conversation starting, an easy poll that is not necessarily about real estate. I reply to every single person that votes on our poll. You can reply the same thing for everyone that voted for each thing. A lot of times we'll pick a poll, especially for real estate, where all 4 answers are the right one. Like I did one that was like about why we moved up to our, our next transition of life house. Was it for backyard? Was it for square footage? Was it for neighborhood or schools? And all the answers are right? They all start the conversations I want to have. And we got to lead that way from someone that was like, oh my God, I want this backyard. And we started the conversation, and then now we're selling her house in June. Those little opportunities you never are unsuspecting of, just try and incorporate as many polls as you can to start a conversation. Any questions on Instagram specifically? Facebook, it's kind of a dead zone. I think it could be a generational thing too. I think everyone has a different audience on a different platform. Some people freaking kill it on Facebook. That's not where my audience is hanging out. And the data shows that no one else really is either. Interaction as a whole is really down. Most time spent on Facebook was Reels. So again, I'm not going to make that a huge part of my content strategy. However, if Reels are up and they're up 600% on Facebook, that's where that repurpose tool really comes into play. Using that repurpose, so I'm already creating it for IG. Just make sure it goes over to your Facebook as well. But as a whole, the platform is not doing so hot. TikTok. This had a 4.5% growth rate on accounts and posts. So engagement actually went down, which is expected when you grow that fast. Engagement will always trickle down. It's harder to get your content. As more content gets on there, it gets harder to get seen. What's interesting about TikTok is that long form content is actually crushing it, which is surprising. When I think about TikTok, I think about like, it's overwhelming. There's things fly. It's like very chaotic in there. That algorithm is nuts. But the long form content, the average watch time on TikTok is actually like 53 seconds, which is crazy high. It's only like, 18 seconds for a reel on Instagram. So that's a massive opportunity there. Not to overlook. For me, I'm not too, converting on TikTok is not something I've had experience with yet. The DMing feature sucks. Some people are a master at it. I'm not one of them. I repurposed to TikTok. We are growing, but I'm not having a ton of success there, but I'm primarily focusing on Instagram because that is working. YouTube had a 27% increase in content production. So more content being made. They dropped YouTube shorts in 2020. And we're seeing a lot of those. If you do repurpose, it actually will repurpose your Instagram to YouTube now. It will put it on a YouTube short. Why not take advantage of that opportunity? They're seeing a decrease in average engagement, again, which is predicted whenever you're seeing an increase in content production. In general, the study found that they are favoring larger accounts. So, go figure. You got to be huge to get somewhere. But you're only like, one post away from being that account. So it's worthy of at least putting your content on. My strategy for YouTube is I plan to film I'm going to get into the specifics of this, one long form piece of content every single month. And I'm going to repurpose 4 pieces of content within that one long one. I'll get into that a little bit, but don't ignore it. That's obviously a platform I think that's going to be huge going forward and always has been huge, especially for SEO and searchability. LinkedIn, I'm excited about this one. So LinkedIn, I see as a huge opportunity for growing your referral network specifically. We all know realtors like to follow other realtors, and that could be a great opportunity in an untapped market. We're seeing an increase, 141% in shareable content. So specifically, people are sharing a lot of content, which means that if it's relevant to them, they are sharing it. If it's high value, they are sharing it basically. So if I was going to have a strategy for LinkedIn, I would focus on shareable content that I think would affect or be easily shared amongst people. On Pinterest, I think this is a great opportunity too. Engagement is up 32%, the high focus on external link clicks. So for me, I see Pinterest as an opportunity for lead magnets. If I have those 3 or 4 core lead magnets, and then I have all of these minis, those are the things that should be going to Pinterest that get them to a landing page of yours of some sort. If you want to drive them back to your Instagram, I don't really recommend driving to your YouTube from your Instagram. Like really all of these platforms want to keep you on the app as long as possible. That's how Instagram makes their money, is by keeping you on the app. So sending them, if in your bio you have like hashtags or anything, get that out of there. We don't want to send them away from your page. We want to keep them on your page as long as possible. But I definitely see an opportunity for lead magnets in particular in Pinterest.
And next week, we're doing our next mastermind on Tuesday is on Pinterest, utilizing Pinterest.
Oh, nice. I love that. I feel like LinkedIn and Pinterest, those are gonna come up. Those are on their way. Like they were kind of the forgotten about ones. And I feel like that's not going to be the case any longer. People are going to where there's less people, but just knowing how to strategically use each one, I think. Don't try and do everything. Just pick one thing. So they also looked at Twitter or X, I guess. There was another one, Twitch. I didn't put those on there because I'm not personally familiar with those and I don't want to speak to something I don't actually know that much about. But in general, they found that Twitter, X, whatever it is, similar to Facebook, interactions were way down unless you were a influencer of someone of status, I guess you could call it. So I did not focus on those, but there's more data on those studies. If you do have questions, just let me know. I can send you the study. So for us, what I'm going to be focusing on in 2024, if you're not familiar, Instagram lives have an average watch time of 150 times that of a reel, which is absolutely mind-blowing to me. What's even more mind-blowing is that I had an experience with this and I didn't even pay attention to it. So I've had something get, 100,000 views and just go viral and go crazy and get 0 leads. And I've had something get 1,000 views and get me 3 leads. And I didn't even notice until I figured out this Instagram live recently, that it was because I did a live right after I did a post, and that's where the 3 leads came from. And I was like, damn, that's really stupid of me. They all came from the live and I didn't even notice that lives were at the start. So I'm incorporating those every single month. And here's the thing with lives, they have an average watch time of 45 minutes, which is insane. If someone watches you for 45 minutes, they're likely clued in and wanting to listen to what you have to say, which means they're going to convert a lot higher. There's actual data that shows if someone listens for over 5 minutes, they convert 60% higher. So if they watch for 45, they're freaking interested. That is a super fan. Follow up with that person. I don't care if you get 3 people on your live that you do. You only need you're trying to attract 3 people through Instagram this year. You do not need 20,000 views. You do not need 20,000 followers. You need 3. You know what I mean? Like think about what your goal number is to attract this year and speak to those 5, 10, 15, 20 people's specific problems instead of making these generic checklists for everybody that are landing with nobody. Speak to those 5 people. If you are going to go live, I highly recommend going live for an hour. And I know that's a long time, but if you think about the window of opportunity for when someone would tune in to watch you and be strategic with what time you pick. If your audience works at 9 to 5, don't go live at 9, pick it after work and promote it for the entire month. I like the idea of doing it every month. So you constantly have something to promote. A lot of times it's more about the promotion than the event itself. I think we've all probably hosted one of those seminars or workshop where no one shows up, but you get to promote it for the entire month. So I recommend that immensely, and having some sort of registration or lead magnet within your live so you can actually lead capture while you're doing it. I highly recommend that. We are going to do it, like I said, every single month. So tune in because we're going to be doing some stuff. Hooks, again, going back to that, we're definitely continuing our 10-second hook trend until we see anything shift with that. Trying to get them to watch as long as possible. Attention grabbing, attention retention is going to be key, I think, moving forward. I'm not a big fan of that hook and then see caption. I feel like that's kind of corny. It's a little bit cheesy. It's a little bit hack-ish. I'm not about the hacks. Create content for your audience, not the algorithm. It has always behooved you. Even those posts that feel like they flopped. If I get a DM and someone's like, I needed to hear this today, that is a successful post. You are trying to build those connections. We are in a unique position, not like most people on Instagram in the long-term relationship business. We are not the 20th time you see a pair of sunglasses, you're going to buy it. Our job is completely different than most people selling something on Instagram. So our strategy needs to be completely different. Our nurture content to get them to trust us for such a big responsibility in their life needs to be completely different, which is why a lot of those hacks and shit I don't recommend for our industry. They make you look corny and a very look at me, cheesy, just buy from me kind of person. With that being said, there's a way to craft your hook and not be just a gimmick of the algorithm. Storytelling. This is a huge one. This is probably our primary focus for how we connect with people, to get people that we have no idea who they are, like you guys on this, some of you on this call, to feel like you know me, right? That you know my kids and you know my family because of our ability to storytell. This is huge for building trust, which again is paramount in our industry specifically. everyone has a referral for a realtor. So telling these types of stories that get people to connect, giving them something to cling on to in your story or your client success stories is huge. This is something we've had a lot of success with, and I'm more than happy to help you. I wrote like storytelling, I'm a geek on. Like I wrote a whole ebook on it about how to film it, how to shoot it, the questions to ask, what stories to tell, how to tell which ones resonate. We helped one of our full service like launch clients that we take over their Instagram for. In the first week, we told 3 stories. Their engagement shot up 2,000% because of that ability to just pull the right things out of people that will connect with who they're trying. That is my weird, unique ability that I'm just so excited I found a use for. So I'm more than happy to help you on storytelling if that's something that you need help with. I think a lot of times we think our story is either not worth telling or that's not going to make sense for people. And you just really need to learn more specifically how to craft it, I think, and what questions to ask and which ones will resonate. And that's something I can help you with. And then repurposing. So smarter, not harder. There was a point in time where like literally every 15 minutes, I knew exactly what I needed to input on Instagram, where I needed to come, where I needed to engage, everything every 15 minutes to get 50 followers a day, 350 a week, 1,200 a month. And we grew very rapidly because of that. It was an algorithm hack. But what I found was that it was not sustainable. So since we had kids, I had to figure out a new way basically, because that was no longer going to work, where I was like, breastfeeding every 30 seconds. We had to get really creative with our processes, with our systems to make this as easy as possible. This is not our primary job. We have an actual job. This is just feels like its own basically, but it is a secondary position. So ways that we can repurpose the content. Personally, I only film 1 day a month. And because I have built a robust content bank, this is something I've been trying to incorporate. Like this past year, I would say we were in our say yes era. I said yes to every opportunity relative to the content coaching because I was adamant that I wanted to find the thing that worked for people, hands down. And we tried private coaching, group coaching, group calls. We did speaking engagements. We did full service launches. We did content days specifically. Hands down, everything we tried all of it. The people that were the most successful with that we were helping were the people that did content days 1 day a month and created their content in 1 day. And the people that we had the most full service, the most hands-on help with, where we were actually able to not teach you about it like this is great for like understanding basics, but really get your hands on when we are in front of the camera. What do we say? How do we craft this live time? Hands down, the people that were most successful in this program.
Sara, this is so amazing to hear you say this and so relieving because, and I've heard it before, but like for you to dive into that, especially as, working mom and running a business. And, as you know, in this business, like it's literally like 5,000 things at once and everything's like squirrel. And then you're like, well, if you almost like give up if you don't just put it on the calendar and do it. And like to repurpose and how that's so strong to do like a whole content day once a month is like, oh, I could actually manage that, instead of getting it like, I'm going to do something today and then do this something tomorrow and then do something. And it's just that was, I know it sounds simple, but it's mind blowing to me. And I'm so glad you said that, especially, if anybody else doesn't have kids, but still we're all busy, entrepreneurs. And when you throw kids in the mix, it's
a shit show. There's no other way to describe it. It's complete freaking chaos. And that's what I found. Like, as soon as I was like, okay, everything that I knew I was doing before that worked for us, it was out the window. I was like, I can't do this anymore. Nothing about it was the same. And so when we go into those content days, like I am stacked in preparation. Every script is written, every outfit is picked out, every time change is, every location in the house is mapped out or wherever I'm going to film. So that day of, there is zero excuse because I know how we all are like, oh, I still have to fine tune this. And and now I didn't shower. Now I don't want to put on makeup today. Like it's the whole freaking trickle effect of I need to do 5,000 things and now I'm not going to do basically any of them and not going to get started. So Absolutely. What we put together was basically like hands-on content days. So this is the cool thing about being an RV and like kind of stepping away from the transactional side, although we will have a team here in San Diego for referral partners. We are still here. But we're going to be traveling and doing content days with different brokerages all throughout the US, which I'm so pumped about. So of course, we're going to be going to them RVing. Some of them, my first one, I'm going to be flying to in Canada, where I'm going to fly in for the day and basically go film a bunch of content for one person. I'm going to Arizona first, my first stop. So we're basically launching content days. And what we do is I basically will do 3 one-on-ones leading up to the content day. so we can hone in, because I'm not trying to sell you a template. It's not something everyone has used. This is a customizable experience to you. And really in this first content day, obviously we can do multiple, but I'm trying to give you the tools for how to do this on your own. Like, I'm not trying to get you to, I would love for you to be reoccurring, obviously, but I want to show you how exactly I film all of these, how exactly I plan all of these, so that moving forward, you can do this 100% on your own the way that I do now. So that's what we're offering right now. So locally, we are charging $14.99 for this. TBD on travel. If I'm flying, obviously there's a cost that needs to be built in. If you're interested in doing a content day where we are traveling in the RV, I can kind of send you our roadmap of when we will be in town. Basically what I do here is, when I was looking at videographers to like work with, I've never used a videographer for my real estate content. I've always done it myself. But for this type of thing, I was like looking for a partnership. What videographers charge, holy shit, it is not sustainable. So I was really trying to fill the gap between the like $4,000 package that they offer and like what we can do on our own as realtors, like on the go, this one day a month. And in that, I'm actually going to edit 20 reels for you, and I'm going to provide 20 pieces of behind the scenes footage for you as well. So essentially 40 pieces of content in that one day. With our full service clients, where we actually do their content for them, I have done 4 content days with one of our lending teams that hired us, and we have 581 videos currently in her content bank. So like, I'm trying to stack her for the year, so I can remove myself. You can remove me once you feel confident, or you can keep me if you feel like that's something that's working for you, if it's attracting new clients. She personally has already gotten 4 new homeowners in her first 3 months since we've been doing the full service launch. So that's another service that we do offer. This is a preview kind of, if this plays. This kind of shows you a snapshot in the first 2 months, the engagement that we saw going on. This is where actually we'll build out your bio for you. So everything that we discussed in this presentation, I will actually build it out for you. Create all your content, which is 3 posts a week. And like I said, it's having massive success. We just took on our second client who's starting off, and we have another one coming up. So with full service, I only have the capacity to take on 2 more people. If anyone is interested in this, shoot me a DM. There's a promotional code on here for $100 off of all of these, except for the group coaching. If anyone has any questions on this, please feel free and reach out to me individually, and we'll do questions at the end. Last thing is that if you're somewhere in between and you're wanting to do a content day and a full service launch, we do basically a mini launch. We'll work together for an entire month. We'll do 12 personalized edited scripts, behind the scenes footage. And again, you can receive $100 off this package as well, just to kind of get you that 1 month of like, now we're established, these are the systems, here's how we carry on. And lastly, we do group coaching, which is $319 a month, and there's a 3-month minimum, just like kind of a lot of front end for me. There's a group of about 20 people in there. Not everyone shows up every time though. Sometimes it's 3 people, sometimes it's 10 people. It kind of varies. Everyone's got a cool vibe because again, it's attraction marketing, and we don't have any weirdos or anyone that gives you the jeebs. But we have built out an entire content portal. There's 50 different training videos in there about everything under the sun. Basically everything I've ever learned about social media is in these videos. And that is $319 a month. And you can use, there should be a code on here. I can't see past my zoomies. Oh, there's no code on there. I don't know if I'm going to get access to who was on this call, but I'm more than happy to send you guys the materials via email or whatever makes sense.
Yeah, that would be awesome. If you want to send us the slides, that would be great. And then this is also, you guys all know, most of you know that we filmed, this is live on Facebook, so it lives there forever, but it'll also be on our YouTube channel as well. So that code is that code only good for so long, Sara?
Yes, that goes until Sunday at midnight. Okay,
so if you want to join any of her coaching, make sure you do it by Sunday. So if you watch this later, you missed your opportunity. Sorry. DM her, slide into those DMs. Thank you so much, Sara. That was really good. I have a bunch of notes. I just text Nikki. I'm like, we got to figure out her hacks. What is she doing? I love it. It's so good. Somebody did have a question in the chat asking if you had any threads data, or Instagram tried to start threads, which I don't really, I hopped on there for a minute. It was kind of like Clubhouse where I hopped on it for a minute and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here. And I left.
I think that's what everyone did, to be honest with you. There are people having success with it. I think that's the best place to post conversation starting content. So if there's like a sentence, it's meant to be like a more narrow group of conversation start, almost like a Twitter, basically.
Yeah.
Threads was not in the 2023 metrical study, and I don't have a ton of experience on it, but if I was to be on there, I would focus on, prompting it with either questions or not necessarily controversial, but like debate starting types of conversations where people could have a conversation to go back and forth about. So maybe that's a good place to post articles that are newsworthy, kind of similar to LinkedIn, that like start conversations, whether that be the market is crashing or whatever that is, the headline garbage that we often see. But I don't have any particular stats on that. That was not in the study, and I'm not particularly on there all that much.
I mean, I see people come up and they're definitely trying to push it. I mean, you're scrolling and you see where it pops up and says like somebody posted this on Threads or whatever. And
yeah,
I just kind of scroll by it because it just doesn't interest me. But I got to get back to the Russian lips and what.
Yeah, right. That's not in the algorithm. But if you were to focus on Threads, if you notice when you are scrolling through, you really get 2 lines that it shows you before you get those ... So that's going to be your create entry, create conversation. Because I have actually clicked on a few that way. That is working, and I think people are refining their craft through Threads. I think that's a great way to practice too. Like if you do find one that goes off on Threads, carry that hook over into a reel and see if you can, again, repurpose. It's thinking about everything strategically. How can you put this on other platforms and use that method to take advantage on another platform? Love a good.
Yeah, this has been so good. I really like a lot of what you were saying. I know, like I have a friend who she's got like 20-some thousand followers or something on Instagram. And she was very strategic as well about her 3 top pinned posts. It was like, her whole thing is more like, helping other single moms or other young realtors grow. And so kind of showing her where she started, her struggle, where she's at now, and like some of her other things, some of her top performing stuff. And it's really smart because I never really thought about using the pin posts as that. I mean, I have mine as like how you work with me and a couple things, but I think it's really smart to have like a very strategic reason on why these things are pinned, not just, oh, this was a video that, went viral, I'm going to pin it to the top.
Totally.
You don't necessarily need that.
Totally.
So I love that.
The transformation side of it, like you just said, you get a part of her story, like that storytelling and transformation side of it. People are looking for that human connection more than ever. They don't want to be sold to with their just sold posts. They want a person to follow. So having those kind of personal things, I think, is so paramount.
Yeah, I love that. I just need to find somebody to follow me around and just get all my B-roll videos and
that's what content day is.
I know.
For some people, content day is like, for us, like staged with a talking head and all of that. But for some people, I just get in their car and just like I'm a creep and just follow along and get them all the B-roll that they need for like the year, basically.
Nicole, you and I can do that together because we.
I know. I was like, what can I pay my 16-year-old daughter to help me? Let me dress up and you just follow me around all day.
I think we're just gonna have to do. I think we're just gonna have to do that until we make it super big and we can start paying somebody to do that, or that your teenage daughter gets that good.
Right? That'll be her way to make it big. Well, thank you so much, Sara. This was amazing. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, you're welcome.
This was awesome. And then, so next week we have Braden McKeon. She's going to be talking about Pinterest. So what we were talking about earlier, like an underutilized platform for realtors. This is it's going to be really good. I've been following her for a while and I like what she's talking about. It's something totally different. And I think it's something that, we might as well look into. If it's something that if you're scrolling Pinterest anyways, why not make it part of your business plan? For any of those who want to, Nikki and I are going to stick around afterwards and we're going to talk about, talk to some people about how we might be able to help grow your business, talk about, how we've come together and how we met and grew our businesses working together. So if anyone's interested in sticking around afterwards, after all this, we're going to hang out for just a little bit. So Sara, thank you so much. This was awesome. I can't wait to follow along on your journey here. I follow now, so I'm going to be following you and make sure I check things out and try to follow along with the whole process.
And
There.
implement.
Implement. That should be
Action.
that should be the word of the year, implementation.
Implement. Yeah, don't just listen, implement.
I
Do
love
the
that.
things. Do the
All right, guys,
things.
thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It was great to see
All
you
right.
all. Familiar
Thank
faces.
you.
Bye.
Good luck on your RV travel.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, Sarah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Thanks, guys, for hanging out with us today.
How fun was that? I definitely took a ton of notes.
I know I
Yeah.
was like lead magnets, buyer, seller, realtors. Check
Yeah.
hashtags.
Yeah, like you, Nikki, I've been following her for few years. Because I found her when my husband and I used to go to Carlsbad a lot, San Diego
Mhm.
area, because that's where Lion Desk was. And I started following her right away, even before her and her partner were married. So like,
Gotcha.
yeah, she's awesome. So to talk to her in person.
Very cool.
Right,
So
like a nice
Nikki and I wanted to, Kelly, I mean, you're more than welcome to stay on too if you'd like. I don't know what you have going on, but Nikki and I were going to hang out here if anyone wanted to talk about issues we're having in business or socials or whatever, and kind of just talk about, you know, how us working together and Kelly and I partnering together, how that's really helped grow our businesses and how we work together and help each other. So if
Do you want
anybody,
me to stay on? I can.
if you
Sure,
want to, if you don't, yeah, if you'd like
Yeah.
to, you don't have to stay
Yeah.
on. I
So
know
Larry, that's on. Hi, Larry. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Nikki
Good.
number 2.
He is he's with Key Realty
Oh, okay.
here in Toledo area. So I told him he needs to hop on Modern Agent Blueprint, that there's a lot of really good info.
Yeah, we work really hard to provide a lot of good value for agents, and you know, between Nikki and I, our experiences, and then just what we've seen out there, and you know, you've been on a couple of these. I've seen you on a few of these now. You know, it's great to have these people in our business and in our community who are crushing it in one way or another, whether it be, you know, Instagram, or maybe this, you know, next month we're going to be talking about something completely different. So it's, you know, people are doing all different things. We're going to have, I think Kelly, we're actually going to have Randy or Mark come on to talk about high note when we talk about different listings and all that stuff, but that's not going to be until like May. So
Yeah, I think that's a good thing. I know Mark was on like 2 years ago or something, and he needs to, yeah, I feel like that's a good one to revisit.
yeah,
for
we're going to have
presentation.
him back on again. So, but like, you know, anytime we find something that's working really well, we want to share it. We want to put that out there for our audience, but then also, oh, let me stop recording.